Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for this latest edition of the 5 Sports Show. I'm Dante, Centofanti, your host, joined by our sports director, Cameron Murray. You got to be really happy. It's a big weekend for you personally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Big weekend for me personally. I guess also for this week in general. My first official week being the sports director here at WDTV, so excited for that. And the Patriots, of course, on Sunday. But won't talk too much on that. We'll stick with the West Virginia sports for now. But yeah, definitely a big weekend for me. And our other guy, Zach, who's also a Seahawks fan. So yeah, maybe some behind the scenes jabbing back and forth. But we'll keep the pro sports and the national sports away from the show tonight. We're all going to be focusing on West Virginia men's and women's basketball.
And if you watch the Friday First and 4 with Holly and Vince, our Cam Murray, he was very animated as he usually is. But let's shift gears from Santa Clara to Morgantown, West Virginia, because the WVU men's team, they really bounced back. They they did lay an egg against Baylor at the Coliseum this past Saturday, but they had a 14-point comeback against the Cincinnati Bearcats, being able to sweep them in the season series. Cam, what does a win like this do for the program?
Well, let me tell you, I think this is a good win. Obviously, you sweep Cincinnati in the season series, but to be real, Ross Hodge and Mountaineers don't this is not a win that they're looking at and say, wow, we played really great. I mean, for the 5th straight time, West Virginia was down double figures within the first 5 minutes of the first half. The last 5 games have all happened the same exact way. Down at least 10 in the first half, and then West Virginia either has to kind of claw themselves back against Baylor. They weren't able to, other teams as well. But what they were able to do in Cincinnati, huge for their team. Maybe the Bearcats kind of didn't play so well in the second half, but West Virginia took advantage of that. Honor Huff, 17 points. And you don't want to see that. You don't want to see this team continue to get down. There was a point where they were down 14-2 in that first half. You cannot have that. But, of course, sweeping Cincinnati in season series, really good. But, I mean, these problems continue, Dante. We've seen it. A lot of games so far. We've seen this team struggle in the first half, find their rhythm, and then go from there.
Their ability to get going is something that they got a nip in the butt way before Big 12 tournament play. But there's a lot of season left. They host Texas Tech this Sunday on WVFX. The game will be on WVFX, our sister station. But, they're playing a Texas Tech team that has a lot of good wins. Monday night against Kansas, they looked very good. But, you look at someone like Hunter Huff, he's somebody who's averaging 16 points per game, but JT Toppin, he's somebody who's going to be playing in the National Basketball Association in the near future. So West Virginia, they have to take their elite defensive skills and find a way to contain Toppin. Do you think that they will?
Well, they did a good job defending Darren Peterson, obviously one of the best players in college basketball. Peterson's a player that has had his own struggles with Kansas throughout the season, but when he's been in the game, West Virginia did a good job at trying to neutralize his play. So a guy like JT Toppin, very good as well, but it's really going to just come down to, like we were saying earlier, if West Virginia goes down 10, 12, 14 points against a top 15 team in the country, that's a bit harder to come back from than a Kansas State or Cincinnati. So that's something they got to figure out. But I don't know. This is the top 13 team in the country, Texas Tech, and like you said, there's not a lot of games left, Dante. There's only 8 games left for West Virginia. So you think about it like that. There's only one and a half quite month of basketball left to be played, and then you move into the Big 12 tournament. So I don't know. I think West Virginia right now, year 1 of Ross Hodge, they've shown their defensive prowess, and they prove that every night. And if you look at the stats, nationally, they prove that as well. But offensively, they got to find their rhythm. Texas Tech's going to take advantage of their offense if they can't get some points on the board early in this game. But never know. Playing at the Coliseum, you literally never know in the college basketball. So it'll be fun.
And the last time they had a Sunday game at the Coliseum, against a top 25 Big 12 opponent, they were able to win. So I feel like if they can play the way they know how to play defensively this Sunday in Morgantown, they can get one of those statement wins. We talk about confidence building wins, but wins like this, that can propel you for the rest of the season, especially in the back end like this. So Hunter Huff gets going. If they play solid basketball from the tip, which is something that they really have not done a lot of this season, complete basketball from the tip, I think they're going to win this game. And the WVU Coliseum on a Sunday, it's probably going to be a sold-out crowd. Again, it's going to be on WVFX. WVU has one of the more underrated home court advantages in the Big 12, so I think Texas Tech is going to see that Sunday.
hopefully the snow doesn't deter people away from the game. I know against Kansas State, people were afraid to go to the game because of the snow. People who made it there enjoyed it. But yeah, hopefully that, I mean, there's obviously a big game in pro sports the same day, so maybe some fans are thinking, well, maybe pregame the Super Bowl with the WVU game. Hey, that's what I would do if I was you. Go with WVU, go home to watch Super Bowl. I don't know, but I'll tell you what. West Virginia, every single press conference, we hear the same thing from Ross Hodge. We've heard it a lot, you know, in terms of the team has not played with a defensive sense of urgency or even an urgency in itself on both sides of the ball in the beginning of games. Ross Hodge has said multiple times, I'm not pleased with our urgency in the beginning of games. Now, a lot of teams don't usually have that fight to come back from big deficits. West Virginia seems to play better from behind than a lot of other teams in the country, and we don't know if this is just a year one thing. We don't know if this is just of certain personalities or players that's making this happen, or if it's just simply they're not hot when the game begins, when the tip happens. So I really am curious to see, you know, how when the season ends and they really look at it, what was the reason why these slow starts are happening? When you really diagnose that problem, then you can start moving into, okay, well, how do we take this team to the next level? And it is year one, and I hate to say that for this era of college basketball, but it is year one, so we'll hope that next year this same struggles don't occur. But on the other side, Dante, the West Virginia men's team, of course, really good. 20th ranked women's team in the country, West Virginia women's basketball. They also have a big game this weekend, I believe, home against Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we're going to get into next. You took the words right out of my mouth. You know, the women's team, we need to give them their flowers. They've been playing very well, and they host Arizona tomorrow at the Coliseum. I mean, this is going to be one of the bigger, you know, weekends in West Virginia basketball history, men's and women's, in a long time, because you have two very key games for both of their respective schedules.
Yeah, and I think...
How big is this game against Arizona, do you think?
Well, I'll have to check. I don't think Arizona is that high in the standings. We'll do a quick check here. I don't know how high they are right now. They're not...
Maybe I was a little bit too dramatic saying it was one of the biggest weekends, but, you know, it's always great, you know, when you have a women's game and a men's game at the Coliseum, you know, back-to-back days. It's a great weekend. It's good for the university. It's good for the city of Morgantown, and, you know, it's just great for all Mountaineers.
For sure. I mean, right now, Arizona, middle of the pack they're actually dead. They're second to last in the Big 12 right now, 2-9 conference record. West Virginia top 3 right now in the conference, and also West Virginia currently 10-3 in home games, and Arizona is 0-5 in away games. So I'm thinking West Virginia wins this game handily, pretty big. Mark Kellogg at home is almost a sure thing every single time. Now, I've worked here for about 3 years, give or take. Mark Kellogg has started basically when I got to WDTV, and every single season, West Virginia women's basketball fans know this team is ranked, this team is in it, and they will be in it in March. The men's team will have to wait and see on that, but you can almost guarantee we'll see the women's team play, hopefully deep in March. I don't know, but the Big 12 is still a strong conference for men and women, but the women's team looking great right now.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, when you look at the impact players on this team, you know, who stands out to you specifically?
Well, I think it's a big transfer, Gia Cook. Gia Cook has done so much for this team offensively, also on defense. You have a girl like Sydney Shaw, you know, players like that. Of course, Jordan Harrison. How could I forget Jordan Harrison? I believe in the first 2 seasons, her sophomore and junior season, she had over 97 steals in each of those seasons, and also pretty good assist numbers as well. So Harrison, which many thought would be she is still a leader of this team, of course. Gia Cook kind of taking the reins in terms of scoring. Celie Riviere in terms of rebounding and defense. They have a solid core group of girls that know their role and just play well together. And Mark Kellogg facilitates it perfectly. He knows the rotations to put in, and seems like at the right time they're hitting their stride. They lost TCU at home. I think that really aggravated them. They felt like they should have won that game. And now they're playing with a more sense of urgency. With only about a couple weeks left of the season, you got to expect this team to be playing with more fire as the season continues.
All right, I think that's going to do it. I mean, you know, it's been a quick edition of this 5 Sports Show, but again, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, WDTV, and also Sunday's going to be a big day because, again, we will have the Texas Tech WVU game on WVFX. You know, Fox will have the broadcast, and then right after that, we will have 5 News at 6 weekend edition right before the Super Bowl. It's not on CBS this year.
Yeah.
But again, Monday, you and Zach will be back in, and you'll break down, you know, the post-game press conferences. You know, you'll recap everything, and absolutely be sure to subscribe to WDTV on YouTube and download the 5 News mobile app wherever you can.